Making 20 grand a month is an incredible achievement in your business, but how much money do you actually put in your pocket out of that 20 grand? In this video, I analyze the averages from 10 of my clients who make around the £20,000 a month mark to show you exactly what model they use to make 20 grand a month, how much of that is profit and how much is expenses, and also what the actual expenses are and how much do they allocate to each one. So get ready to take some notes because we're going to dive under the bonnet of 5 real businesses and talk real numbers. So the first thing is business model. Now, all of my clients work one-to-one with their clients. There's no groups, there's no apps, nothing like that. I just don't think that's coaching. It's not what I do or teach, so they kind of do the same thing. The average number of clients that they work with ranges from around 50 to 70, and the average client making 20 grand a month is about 60. That's not a massive amount of clients, to be honest with you. It's probably maybe 3 days a week worth of work, potentially even 4. Usually when my clients are working at that kind of scale, they're more experienced, they've got great systems, everything is nice and slick. So they generally get away with handling more clients that maybe somebody that's just starting out would be able to. Like if I give a new personal trainer 60 online clients, they'd probably implode. Whereas these guys handle that fairly simply. The average payment per month for those clients is around £300 to £350 a month. They use various payment methods. A lot of them will take payment in full at least the first time they work with somebody and then do a monthly retainer on the back end. Some of them choose to do monthly all the way through. Some of them do no monthly and just make the client pay in blocks. It's entirely up to them. I personally like taking cash up front for the initial package and then going on to rolling recurring afterwards. But that's why I broke it down as an average per month, because some of them will charge £1,200 or £1,500 for 4 months or 3 months. Some of them will charge £350 a month on a rolling package. So it depends a little bit on the business model, but that's kind of the average monthly numbers that they have. And they all also retain the clients for at least 6 months, okay? It gets very difficult to run a coaching business when you have to make a massive amount of sales because you're losing lots of clients all the time too. Not only because that's stressful and not fun, but also because of the time that then you have to put into sales and marketing. If you only need to make, for example, 10 new sales a month, which is kind of the average for a lot of our clients, and the clients stay for 6 months, that's how they grow to 60 clients. It's much easier than trying to have to do 20 sales a month because the clients only stay for 3 months. That means that these costs then go up. It means you have to spend more time in sales and marketing. It also means that you end up doing way more sales calls, and that takes up a lot of time too. So this is a very efficient model by focusing on client retention as much as we focus on sales. So that's how they make their money. They handle around 60 clients at around £330, £340 a month, which ends up being around 20 grand. That's how the business works. That's the model. So now we need to get into the expenses. Now, the first expense is always advertising and ad spend. It's one of the most important things that we need to do within a business, not only to grow it to £20,000 a month, but to sustain it to £20,000 a month. What happens with a lot of businesses is they start marketing and they start pushing their products and they get this wave of sales of people that have followed them for ages or know them or maybe worked with them previously, and they get all giddy about it and they think, great, that's amazing. And then over time, they manage to erode through all of the buyers in their current audience. They've sold all the people that already know them. They have worked with all of their previous clients. Again, they've used referrals, they've leveraged all of that stuff, but it just doesn't grow as fast as they want to grow. Now, the easiest and simplest way, if you want to guarantee 10 sales a month, is to run ads to guarantee you 10 sales a month. And that's what we do for our clients at that level. We run ads to generate leads. We know that X amount of leads means Y amount of sales, and then we can reverse engineer it back from there. So if we know, okay, it's going to take us 50 leads to get a client, and they know we need 10 clients, then we know we need 500 leads that month. And that's kind of the maths that we do. Now, the average numbers vary from client to client, but on average, we want to generate at least 50 to 100 new leads onto their Instagram every single day. Now, the costs of this will vary on a couple of things. First of all, it will vary on how good the content of the ad is, okay? So if the ad content is very, very good, which again, a lot of our coaches at 20K a month are pretty good at content, the cost will be cheaper. If we run the ad, the lead clicks through the ad and they look at the profile of the coach. If they look at the profile of the coach and they go, oh my God, that profile looks fucking incredible. There's loads of results here. There's loads of helpful tips. This guy looks like, or girl looks like somebody that I really want to learn from or really want to work with. then the numbers are going to be brilliant, okay? So also the authority of the coaching page and the profile itself plays a massive role in this. But on average, to give you a ballpark, if you are looking at maybe 50 leads, they're probably going to spend anywhere from like £25 a day to £50 a day. If they want 100 leads, they're going to look at anywhere from £50 a day to £100 a day. Now, our average spend at 20K a month is around £1,500 to £2,000 a month. Okay, that's kind of the average. We have some clients that go up as high as 3K. That's to do with the way that they generate leads, and maybe the content's not great, or maybe they're still working on that profile authority. Some guys have got there really quickly, which means that generally they need to spend more because they've not got as much authority. Some guys have been in the industry for ages and they have to spend very, very little, because a little goes a long way for their business. The average is around kind of 1,500 to 2K a month. Now, the second expense is actually how we generate those leads into sales calls, because the way that we run the leads is we generate traffic to the Instagram profile, they turn into followers and people that DM the Instagram account. That at 50 to 100 leads a day can get quite overwhelming if you consider that usually we'll reach out to every single lead on the initial day. So the first day they either follow or message, and then for the subsequent 5 days afterwards, we will follow them up until we generate the kind of conversation that we need. The reason why we do that is we just ran the stats and we've ran the numbers, and we know that we get a huge spike in responses and call bookings between the 3rd and the 5th follow-up. So we have to do 5. So for example, if we're getting 100 leads a day and we have to follow them up 5 times, that will stack into 500 people that we need to speak to on a daily basis. Now, that's at the high end of the numbers and doesn't always happen. Usually it's more around the 50 mark, but even then, 50 over 5 days is 250 messages. No business owner, realistically, when they're making decent money already in that 5 to 10, maybe even like 10 to 12,000 pound a month mark, is really going to want to sit there and message all of those people. So we hire somebody in to take that off their hands. We hire them, we train them, and we train them on the account and the messaging that needs to happen on that account. And then somebody else will actually sit in the account for anywhere between 4 and 8 hours a day, replying to all of those leads, working the leads and booking them onto sales calls. Now, we always hire offshore. I found in my experience that offshore workers work a lot harder and generally get better results with them for the money, as opposed to hiring people from maybe the US and the UK. And that generally costs us around $5 an hour. So if you're running 4 hours of support, it will generally cost you $20. If you're running 8 hours support, then it'll cost you 40, and there's little bits in between there too. The average, usually they just get someone for 8 hours because it's so cheap, and because it's so highly effective. A lot of coaches just feel better having it manned for 8 hours a day as opposed to 4. The problem with 4 is that leads sometimes get left a long time. Doing 8 hours is actually exponentially better than doing 4, because you get a wider coverage and then leads aren't left as long, and the time to follow up the lead is actually quite important in the booking. So over the course of a month, that's going to be anywhere from like $600 to $1,200 a month, which is like kind of 400 to 800 pounds. And again, this is one of the most highest ROI investments that our clients make in their businesses, because it directly generates sales calls, which directly affects the business. Now, the third expense is optional. Now, when dealing with 50 or 60 clients, there is an inherent level of work that comes with it that you can't really systemize that quickly. If you need to update meal plans, if you need to update training programs regularly, if you need to hold your clients accountable and send the messages Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on what kind of clients you work with, that may be a consideration that you have to take into account. Now, that's not always needed to be done by the CEO, okay? So often we will hire an assistant coach to come in and do all of that groundwork, so the CEO and the face of the business can spend time actually doing the direct work with the clients, doing the coaching calls, doing the check-ins, onboarding the new clients, doing the sales calls, etc. Because that's more profitable and more useful for them to do. And also it's more impactful for the clients if they spend more of their time doing direct coaching as opposed to doing accountability or, you know, figuring out meal plans and stuff like that, which any personal trainer can do really. So at around 50 or 60 clients, it generally costs us around £500 a month to get an assistant in for a couple of hours a day that's a trained personal trainer in order to do that. And again, this isn't necessary. We have some clients that don't use this, but we find that the clients that do use this are usually a lot happier and have a lot more time on their hands. And I've never seen someone regret hiring an assistant coach, for sure. So I'm going to include it in this list because even though not all of our clients do it, I think you should. And then the final piece of the puzzle is software, okay? So you've got your coaching software, you've potentially got some marketing email software, You might have little miscellaneous expenses like your accounting fees and stuff like that, Stripe fees, payment processor, whatever you use, etc. And that at 20K a month will probably roll up to around £500 a month as well. So you've got your 4 main areas. You've got your ad spend, you've got your setter, you've got your assistant coach, which is optional but recommended. And then you've got your kind of miscellaneous overhead from running the business too. That breaks down to around, on average, again, average 2K for ads. We've got £1,000 for a setter. We've got 500 for assistant coach, and we've got 500 for software, which brings us to a grand total of £4,000. Okay, that's out of 20K is going to leave you with £16,000 spare, which should be more than enough to pay whatever your tax bill is out of that, pay yourself 6 figures, and also probably save about the same over the course of the year, if not maybe a little bit less. But it's a really, really good position to sit in. Great profit, great take home, great savings, and actually saves you a bunch of time and effort and stress as well, because you've invested your money into the right things. Now, if you are looking at this and you are in a position where you are at maybe the 4 to 5K a month mark, and you're thinking, I really want to build this is where I want to go, because you're at the kind of 4K, 5K a month mark, I know that this will work for you, because that's the hardest bit. Getting from 0 to 5K is about getting people to actually just buy anything from you and getting them to trust you and meeting the market where it's at. If you've already passed that, this is a very easy system to implement, and it's really, really simple. And if you want our team's help with that, we will hire the setter, we will help you set up the ads, we will help you hire the assistant coach, and we'll even go as far as sales training you one-on-one to make sure that you can get these price points, because that's something that other people struggle with, is when they come in, they're not quite confident enough, or they're not quite skilled enough to charge £350 a month. We'll do all of that for you. Okay, now I'll give you more details. If you want to do that, if you want to have a chat with the team about how we can set that up, just click the link below, book a call in one of the team, and we'll go through your business, find out where you're struggling, find out how we can help, and then we can help you implement this model too.